Greetings, fellow Earth travelers. Welcome to Astrology Roadshow's 5th episode, a definitive shift into the age and era of air. Jupiter and Saturn reach a crescendo in 2020. As we sojourn into the Aquarian age, planetary energy is at work to help us along the way. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for valuable insight as we navigate these times. Your likes, shares, comments, and questions to Astrology Roadshow's website and Facebook page are also much appreciated. December 21st, 2020 is a day we can look forward to and represents the reward and result for all the hardships endured this year. It is the winter solstice, which in and of itself is always a special time. But this year it is also a day when there will be an extremely important conjunction for Jupiter and Saturn taking place at the 0-degree mark of Aquarius. All the hard work and difficult aspects made by the outer planets in 2020 will have reached a crescendo at that point. Their messaging for the collective has been definite within the sign of Capricorn, and much rearranging of societal structure, government, and big business is underway. This is in preparation for a new beginning, which we are all experiencing, a redawning, so to speak, and definitely a reawakening to higher consciousness. Episodes 1 through 4 explain the journey and how each of us can best map the way. This episode will take a look at the new air emphasis and show how that fits the lay of the land going forward on an individual level as well as collectively. Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions take place every 20 years. Each of the 4 elements take turns in 200-year increments, and the conjunctions happen within the 3 different signs sharing the same element during that time period. These progress through the signs for elements of fire, earth, air, and water in that order to achieve an 800-year cycle. There is a transitionary orb at the end of each increment of approximately 20 to 40 years, which begins an occasional conjunction that takes place within a sign for the next sequential element. This is similar to how a planet eases into the next sign as it retrogrades back and forth, sometimes entering the next sign more than once after its initial ingress and before its final entrance. Right now, we are experiencing a great mutation, finally and completely out of the 200-year era of Earth sign and element conjunctions for Jupiter and Saturn, and into an era of air occurring with this great conjunction on the solstice. The symbolism of this event occurring at the 0-degree mark of Aquarius on the winter solstice is very symbolic and extraordinary. At this point, of course, we expect and deserve nothing less from 2020. This is no doubt monumental messaging confirming for us that the age of Aquarius is also almost fully here as well. There is now a more definite shift in energy. When Pluto finishes up all of its work within Capricorn and makes its final entrance into Aquarius on Christmas Eve, December 2024, we will be fully underway into the age which lasts 2,000 years. As explained in episode 1, we have been cusping into this since the discovery of Uranus, ruler of Aquarius. This happened almost simultaneously during the early years of establishing the tenets of the USA in 1776, of course. But back to the future. This upcoming great conjunction helps to kickstart the real metamorphosis. The 200-year air era, as marked by this event, and the 2,000-year air age, as indicated by a full launching into the age of Aquarius, really leave us no doubt as to what to expect. Aquarius is also an air sign, and so there is much synchronicity and flow as we enter the age for that same sign where the big conjunction takes place at 0 degrees. Definite changes would especially be happening during the beginning entrance to both the new age and element, which is what we are experiencing. As with other areas of astrology involving transition to a new house or sign or element or age, the approach and early entrance is when the most startling events and effect is brought about. Although we have been cusping the orbs, we are experiencing a double whammy like never before. The effects of what some might consider drastic change will be ongoing the remainder of our lifetimes. It is already happening. We are laying the groundwork for future generations.
Let's first explore how this will likely be affecting us overall and as a collective. The last time our world experienced Jupiter-Saturn air sign conjunctions, also within an air age, was 17,000 to 15,000 BC, some 20,000 years ago. This was the age of Libra. Of course, Libra is an air sign. Likely, cave dwellers began sophisticated attempts to record their lives back then. Much upgrading is on tap towards our evolution this time around. The most recent Saturn-Jupiter air sign conjunctions last took place in the 13th and 14th centuries. That cycle was 800 years ago. That was when the watery age of Pisces was passing its 2,000-year midpoint. During that time in history, there was the signing of the Magna Carta and the beginning of the Renaissance period. There was much advancement in shipping and water trade, fostering a beginning of communications between continents. Interestingly, the bubonic plague made its way to Europe from the Orient in 1348. It was a time when individuals were searching for answers to the end of turmoil and feelings of helplessness at the forces beyond human control. The Middle Ages would finally be coming to a conclusion, and enlightenment was beginning. So religious affiliation changes came about also at this time and were a major focus and comfort for citizens of that age and era. Universities started to really take shape. We can see that these events strive for idealism and communication of ideas and describe a combination of, respectively, Pisces along with the element of air. As the age of Aquarius starts to get underway and we experience a final movement from earth to air element as the initial backdrop, the air qualities will become more pervasive. One way to look at and describe the earth element versus air element would be to look at the characteristics of earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, versus air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. So for the last couple of 100 years, we were centered on materialism, capitalism, and consumerism, wealth, practicality, mining, agriculture, hard work ethic, stability, and also societies put a great value on sensual beauty. All are earth sign qualities and concerns. Approaching into air quality energy, we are beginning to emphasize and appreciate more communication, collaboration of ideas, humanitarianism and acceptance, changeability, genius, non-emotional expression, visionary awareness, and a need for freedom to explore different viewpoints and philosophy. We have just scratched the surface in those areas, and it will be a very big difference from what was being experienced previously. Another change happening is the polarity shift from feminine to masculine. Earth quality is feminine and air is masculine energy. Also, water is a feminine element and fire is masculine. Where energy has been totally feminine in the age of Pisces and Earth era, the transition is firmly moving to masculine. Whereas we are cautious, passive, emotionally inward, calm, slow, and sensitive, we are moving much more towards becoming outwardly reactive, action-oriented, less sensitive, open in our discussions, and having a greater lack of fear. As we fully enter the age of Aquarius, technological advancements and humanitarian efforts in particular will take priority. This will be combined with the other airy characteristics mentioned, including improved communication. Those skills will help to achieve a meeting of the minds politically, and certainly there will be inroads made to reach a middle ground of ideologies. Aquarius is also very much about autonomy and individuality, so it will be interesting to see how technology ultimately works together with society to preserve the freedom of individuals rather than help create a big brother subjugation. It's worth repeating that the transitionary period we are in and will continue to be experiencing can be labeled drastic, but even more so since Aquarius is very much about sudden upheavals and abrupt change. The good news to keep in mind is that the motives of Uranus ruler of Aquarius, are for the betterment of everyone. This will ultimately become obvious. To best understand how the transition affects you personally, know the sign placement of all your planets, including the moon and Chiron. This can also be done by looking at your birth date in an ephemeris for sign positions of the planets. And of course, let's not forget to include the recently discovered outer planet Eris, which is located within the sign of Aries, a fire element, during our lifetime. Episode 3 explains the characteristics of Eris as it has now emerged on the scene within our consciousness as a major outer planetary force. If a planet is located within its home sign, that serves as 2 points towards that sign element. So you would have a minimum of 11 assigned elements, more if a planet occupies its home sign and receives double points. The element or elements that are most numerous and predominant will be your ruling elements. These describe how you lean in. Where we lack would indicate the type of outside energy attraction which will help achieve personal balance and harmony. The sun sign element, of course, is the greatest determination of your motives and identity. But the positioning of all the other planets is also part of your makeup. Study this diagram, which offers some advice as to how to handle the future air emphasis and how to adjust to your advantage. You can be ready for what is firmly coming down the pike with air emphasis moving forward. By being self-aware, it will benefit our daily lives and help us achieve higher consciousness. As always, please contact ars@astrologyroadshow.com for any assistance.
We are moving towards a new and different outlook for the first time in our lifetime, with the movement out of the age of Pisces, a water sign, and into the age of Aquarius, an air sign, combined with the important transition from earth to air sign element. People who have a predominance of air and fire sign elements will finally have the opportunity to really explore this part of themselves. So air signs will especially experience a new sense of acceptance. Fire signs will also be free to better express themselves, since they too are of the masculine persuasion and easily feed from air. Important evolution took place during the last air age conjunctions and also during the most recent Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions that occurred within air signs 800 years ago. History is again in the making, as we will all take part in and witness many exciting ways to manifest this symbolic synchronicity of double air emphasis going forward. It is a very special time period where our generation is tasked with being responsible for this huge mega transition. Thanks much for tuning in. Astrology Roadshow's next episode will highlight the major astrological aspects of 2021 so we can prepare to navigate next year and on into the Aquarian age in a fun and enlightened way.